G'day, g'day. I wanted to talk about my review for Dragon Age the Veilguard, since it was so heavily divided, and I just wanted to give my opinion on it. I don't typically like reviewing things, and I don't like discussing my opinion typically either. I also don't like arguing, and honestly, I'm terrible at debating. With that out of the way, oh boy, did I cop some hate for my review for Dragon Age the Veilguard. But the funny thing is, I haven't even played it. So how can I have an opinion on a game that I haven't even played, and how can I leave a Steam review for a game I haven't played? I phrase this question so that way you might think I'm giving a review on a game that is based off of my opinion that I haven't even played the game yet. And that might also lead you to think that I'm a part of the crowd that's against the whole LGBTQ plus representation in video games, and if you thought that, you'd be wrong. Let me just document my experience with the game, okay? I downloaded the game 10 minutes after its global release, I booted it up, and just as quickly as I booted it up, it crashed. Well, no worries, games sometimes have an issue booting in for their first time. Typically they dial in their settings, and this can cause instability for their first time booting. That's completely fine, fair enough. I tried to launch it a few more times, and I had no luck. I didn't think to check first whether there was dump logs, I just went straight into troubleshooting mode. I went into compatibility settings, I tried everything in there. I tried disabling Steam Overlay, I tried disabling NVIDIA GeForce Experience. I went through and made sure that all my drivers were up to date. Okay, so that failed. So I decided to try and verify my game files through Steam. And when I launched the game for the first time, I got excited because I saw that loading icon move. Then I got to the compiling shaders, I thought, this is sweet, here we go. And after it did a couple, it crashed again. Which was weird that it made it this far because when I verified the game files for Steam, there was nothing flagged, nothing re-downloaded, nothing changed. I then thought, wait a second, I remember with Dragon Age Inquisition, that intro scene would actually bug out for me and crash my game. And I could go into my player settings and change my settings there. So to get to that, I just went to Documents, BioWare, Dragon Age, The Veilguard, and I went into my player settings there and changed everything, and no dice. It made no difference. And it makes sense that it didn't make any difference because the game was still trying to initialize its first time running. It wasn't even having a chance to use those settings yet, at least as far as I'm aware. So in my last ditch effort, I decided to go for an uninstall and reinstall. Again, I got excited because I made it to the compiling shaders and it crashed again. I did the whole restart computer, turn it on and off again, didn't change anything, uninstalled it, restarted the computer, installed it just to make sure that there's nothing lingering. Still nothing. So this is when I decided to make a review based off my experience with the game's stability. And that's when I wrote my initial review. I missed the days when you could buy a CD version of a game and you install it and see it work straight away. 40 minutes of watching it crash before it could even compile shaders is woeful. Installed, uninstalled, verified files, changed compatibility, top of the range hardware, baffling. Holding the big fat no until it works. Look, I understand that back in the day when you buy a CD, it wasn't the magic cure-all. There was still problems with running it, but I remember I had less issues back then, or at least maybe it's the Mandela effect. I don't know, but regardless, the point I'm trying to get to is coming up. Okay, just bear with me. I'm not trying to generate hate. I'm not trying to generate the hype hate here. Okay, I'm getting there. Wait. So after posting this, I realized there was a dump log. And if others were going to use my review to gauge whether or not to purchase the game, I should make my best effort and conscious decision and use my experience I've had with the game so far to use the review to help troubleshoot for others as well. So I went to the dump log folders, and for every time I tried to run the game, there was a dump log. So needless to say, there was quite a few there. At this point, I had 68. Every one of them pointed to the same error code, and I'm going to count zeros here. 7 zeros. All right. So the error code was 0x000000005. I had to use my fingers there. I can't talk and count at the same time. And the description for this code, well, it states that the thread tried to read from or write to a virtual address for which it does not have the appropriate access. Okay, great. What does this even mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means what it says. It's actually ambiguous. It's meant to be used as a blanket fault than to troubleshoot a specific problem. You could argue that it's RAM, GPU, or actual storage related, but the thing is, in my case, it doesn't fucking matter what it is. Let's see here for a second. I have almost 4 terabyte of games installed on my system. And that's not including any programs I have either, from lightweight to commercial products. So you're probably asking, why am I showing this? Well, if everything else I have on my system works without a single hiccup, then why is Dragon Age the only one that isn't working? I've isolated my problem to Dragon Age. So could I possibly have something that's actively causing an issue on my system? If I did, Again, why is Dragon Age the only one that's having a problem with it? And don't get me started with the, oh, but my game worked without a hiccup. Yes, good for you. And so does the other 4 terabytes of games I have on my system. I guess this is where I split from most people, and it does actually frustrate me. I dedicate my time to helping other people troubleshoot problems, okay? That's what I do. I literally make videos to help others. I don't immediately bash people because something doesn't work for them and it works for me. In fact, most of the time, it is a simple problem. So I try and be kind, and I try not to come off as the cunt I normally am. And when I do, I normally have to place myself in their shoes so I can help them troubleshoot. But when I do that, people mistake my kindness for me being an idiot, but I'm just putting myself in their shoes. So if you're one of these people, maybe just take a second to reflect on that. Now, sure, maybe people are pissed off about my troubleshooting process, and fair enough, we all have different ways of troubleshooting. I've gone through my troubleshooting process, maybe you do things differently, whatever. But when it comes to people assuming that my thumbs down equals my stance on the whole woke versus base debating, it's absolutely incredible. My review isn't about my opinion on the game at all, yet some people assume it is, and I've got a surprise for you. Some people actually don't live their lives on that left-right scale. Some of us just don't give a shit. Let's be real. BioWare has been creating games that promote self-expression, where you get to create your character that you identify with, and it's your vassal in the game's story. Personally, I love games where I can identify with the character I'm playing. Games that let you customize your character, alter the story that you're immersed in. I love magic in games, so for me, Dragon Age Inquisition had the best battle mage gameplay I've ever enjoyed. So when the Veilguard was announced, I was excited, not for the story, but purely for the gameplay mechanics. Crazy, I know, you can separate different things that you like from something and categorize them and still enjoy the overall product. And that goes both ways. I can hate the whole representation thing, or I can enjoy it. It doesn't matter what that is. That's my personal preference. I can separate my personal preference from the abstract gameplay idea, okay? I can do that. And I'm not going to tell you what my opinion is on the game. That's not for you to know. That's for me. I don't need to voice that. I can objectively say that the game doesn't work for me, therefore I'm negatively reviewing it. And if you can't accept that, then fuck off. Anyways, despite all the arguing I've seen online, I thought, fuck it. If the gameplay is there, that's what I want to see. If the writing is bad, I'll put up with it. I just want to experience the gameplay again. Hell, I even enjoyed Mass Effect Andromeda. Would I recommend it to a non-Mass Effect fan? Probably not. But that's the thing about media. Everyone is different. Magic and space, I'm all in. Pirates and Gentlemen's Warfare age type games? No thanks, not for me. Now, if you're review bombing a game because you're against the LGBTQ plus representation, that's a whole different story. When you create your character in the Veilguard, you're not forced to make an LGBTQ plus character. Sure, you might interact with characters from those communities, but here's where I think we should be drawing the line. If a character's entire personality is based on something superficial, and they're supposed to be representing something deeper, that's not an LGBTQ plus issue. That's a writing issue. And again, a whole other topic. If you are forced to have interactions that you're not comfortable with, then it's worth discussing, because we should all be for truly expressive games. Now, I shoot myself in the foot with that argument because there are games that do target specific audiences, but if that game advertises itself as something else, that's why we need reviews. For example, take the character David. I can't pronounce it correctly, but it's the one that uses the "I'm the only gay in the village" catchphrase from the show Little Britain. He's a joke because his entire personality is one-dimensional. He's flat and has no depth, and I mean, it's a bit of a stretch to say this, I know, but that's if we take the whole comedic setup out of the equation. A well-developed character should have layers, whether they're gay or not. Being LGBTQ plus or straight should be one part of who they are, not their whole identity. And that's not just about the LGBTQ plus characters, it's about character writing in general. But it seems like some people just latch onto one thing and make it their whole personality, and it's so frustrating to see because that kind of oversimplification is a part of the issue when it comes to deep storytelling. And that applies to everything. That's not just characters in games, that's people in life. It's not about one specific thing either, that's all interests in life. If you only like hiking, then you're only going to get along with people that like hiking. And you narrow your interests. You narrow the things that you can interact with. If you only like bike riding, then you're only going to get along with people that like bike riding. And you put yourselves in these categories. The more categories that you're a part of, the more you're socially accepted. Now, I know that's blowing right out of just this whole game review, but I can't believe I have to explain how it works. My interests in life are quite small. I don't have a big social network, and I'm fine with that, but I also don't go out and I don't try and fight other people based on their interests. Everyone is different. So I get that everyone's different, right? And I want to open the can of worms really quickly. That is strong female lead characters debate, okay? Like I said, I personally prefer games where I can relate to my character. Diablo 2, for example. I love magic, but the sorceress was a female, and as a kid, I wanted to shoot fireballs, but I wanted to look like the necromancer. And that was about my connection to the character. That had nothing to do with the character's gender or backstory. Meanwhile, the game Beyond Two Souls I thought was an absolute fucking banger. Fantastic game. And my partner gets into games and I know that she wants to play games where she can play as a female because she can connect to that character. So I understand. And that's why I think everyone should be for games that allows self-expression. Whether that be from the far left of the spectrum to the far right of the spectrum. With the exception of hate and all that kind of stuff, okay? Just normal people be enjoying what they want to do, okay? I know normal is a bit of a taboo word to use these days, but just have some common sense, okay? It's, I want to say it's not hard, but it clearly is. It really is these days. And online ominality? I don't even know what the word is I'm trying to use. Online, like, Christ. Yeah, fuck you. You know what I'm trying to say. The whole online thing, right? It allows people to be fucking morons because they can hide behind the whole anonymous factor. And they have the audacity to call other people cowards, call other people fucking whatever they want to call them. But in truth, they're just fucking morons, right? Fucking, what do you call them? Grass cutters. I don't know what you call them. They're just losers, all right? And I don't know. I digress. I'm going too far over my scope here. Fuck you. Fuck off. But to summarize everything, opinions are like assholes, right? I'm sure we've all heard that saying many times before. And as well, some are worse than others. And mine's no exception. My opinion, I'm sure, is probably just as fucking left field or right field as the rest of them, okay? But I want to clear the air here because it's a bit of a fucking joke. If you're up in arms trying to defend this game from a political standpoint or anything in general because you want your representations or maybe it's just your safe space or something that you identify with and you feel the need to protect the game or the thing that you're interested in from people who you think are review bombing it or bad mouthing it, you lash out at anyone who you disagree with. I just want to point something out here. It's a bit hypocritical. I made a fucking review about a game not running on my system. Yet I'm getting attacked because of your false assumptions. People are adding me on Steam and calling me out. Calling me out on what? Look, I commented on the game not working on my system. And yet you're going to try and do this whole mental gymnastics. I hate that phrase, but it really is applicable here. That negative review, bad man. What the fuck? If you want to advocate for visibility and being treated equally, may I suggest you practice what you preach. The very thing that is happening in your lifestyle, you're manifesting onto others. Anyways, despite all that, I'm going to try my hardest to get the game working. I do actually want to play the game despite what people may think. And if I do find the solution, I'll share it. But hopefully there'll be a patch. I doubt I'll really have time to dive into the issue. I've already got a lot on as it is. I just wanted to point out the joke that is the reviews, like mine included. But yeah, till next time, see ya.